first eye exam when I was 9. Turns out I was blind as a bat, and my mom nor I knew. That was a very life-changing moment for me, and I decided at 9 years old that I wanted to be an eye doctor for a living. And unlike most kids, I stayed the course, and I really did start college with the desire to be an eye doctor, finished up undergrad very quickly, was lucky enough to meet my husband at the time, and plowed right on through to the Ohio State University. Do I have any Buckeyes in the room? 1, 2? I'm a very proud Buckeye. I graduated with my doctorate at age 24 and started practicing immediately. But what you don't know when you're 24 years old is that 8 years of college comes with a hefty price tag. Where are my friends in the room that are still drowning in school loan debt? Yes, for many of you, it's probably the very reason why you're in these seats. But I started practicing, put my head down. That 6-month grace period went really quickly on those student loans. And $200,000 at a 7% interest rate ends up being a monthly mortgage payment. And my husband and I were both in very respectable careers. He was serving in the US Navy at the time as an internal medicine doctor, and we were still living on love. We were not living on money. We went on to do the quintessential American dream, have our first child, have our second child. At the same time, he decided to go into a new specialty in medicine, so he became a medical resident again. Where are medicine spouses in the room? Any of them? One of you understand? Your spouse is as good as deployed when they're in residency. And at that time, we had a newborn, I was the breadwinner, and we had a 2-year-old. And that's when Isagenix found me. So believe it when I say I had no business pursuing another opportunity or starting a business. But I promise you, if you remember one thing from this brief chat this morning, the busiest people are the most productive. And I would argue that those are the very people you want in your team. So if you ever receive the excuse or you cast upon the assumption that they're too busy for this, you're incredibly wrong. Because what's another attribute of a very busy person? Well, they're organized, yes, but it generally means they're achievers. They've got an achiever mindset, right? They're certainly not sitting around. They don't have cable. I haven't had cable in probably 8 years. I couldn't tell you the latest TV shows or movies. But busy people are innately achievers. And so they do quite well when presented with an opportunity like this that they understand. So when Isagenix found me, by way of my college best friend, Laura Stevens, I know I'm very lucky that she's my sponsor, I wanted nothing to do with it, right? Like most. I was on a Whole30 tirade when she started Isagenix. You're supposed to chew your food, not drink your food, right? Who are my paleo people in the room? Or former? You know who you are. There's more of you. You guys are in Oregon and Washington. There's a lot of paleo people up there. Don't lie. Well, I supported her, and this is another thing I really want you to take home. For 5 months, I was Laura's biggest cheerleader and still wanted nothing to do with Isagenix. I was a good friend. And I have met a lot of people in this room in the last day and a half that have really bad friends. So hold on to those ones that support your dream and your vision and your health journey, even though they don't want to join you. I referred people to Laura. I posted her Isagenix website on my Facebook, and this is when you create a curiosity and you didn't want anybody to know the name of the company you were associated with. But I didn't know, I was just trying to be a good friend. I punted her my social security number when she needed another consultant. I was that good of a friend. I was like, oh, here you go. You can use my name. I had referrals for her. I did become a consultant. I tried to mail her the check that I was sent because I didn't want her money. But I'll tell you, she knew what she was doing. That $25 check changed everything. You would have looked at our life and thought we were fine financially. But I'll be the first to tell you healthcare providers are not paid what they're worth. It's a rat race to how low reimbursements are, and they work a lot. So please don't assume that the professionals in your life are well off. Those same professionals in your life still have a lot of student loan debt too. So Laura did, God bless her, she was still new in her journey, assumed I didn't need this, and stood on my front porch and told me I'd be really bad at it, because I'm very sensitive. And so I continued to support her, but when that first money came in, I thought, gosh, if I didn't even try and this happened, what would really happen if I tried? She invited me to New Year's kickoff. That's your first clue. I went and I sat in those chairs and saw, this is the last event where they had those big $100,000 checks, like the fake checks if you were in the six-figure club. Do any of you remember those? Who has one? Who owns one? Can I borrow it? Like that literally was what drove me. I thought, oh, I want one of those next year. I had only been in the company a couple months. I think I was a 2-star at that event, and I hit the ground running after that New Year's kickoff in Palm Springs. And I'll jump back too. I had no business going to that event. I had to cancel 3 days of full patient care. We stayed in a hotel called the Desert Princess. 5 of us in that room. Some of us had never met, and it was about 40 minutes from the host hotel because we were trying to save so much money. But it didn't matter because we wanted to be there. And there's a lot of you probably crammed into some hotel rooms upstairs, and I commend you for that. You'll get to a point where you just have to have one roommate and it's awesome. So I went to that event, I hit the ground running, I wanted that check the next year. And I say this not to impress you, but to impress upon you that not only did I get that check that next year, I was a trainer on stage at that New Year's kickoff the next year. So just know that if that fire is in your heart, you can't deny it, and that it is incredibly possible. I'll recap. At this point, I had a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, breadwinner, working a lot, husband still a medical resident, as good as deployed. You can find those pockets in your life, and you can become an insanely efficient human being in the process. Now, I never set out on my Isagenix journey to retire from my day job, and I don't think that a lot of people do. I want to give you permission to allow that to be. You see these people on stage, you see these numbers. Mine aren't nearly as impressive as the ones you've heard. However, your mindset can change. And I reached a point in my Isagenix business where it couldn't grow anymore unless I literally had more time. I was in a really toxic work environment. It was fairly easy to walk away from. And I have a lot of people ask, well, what about all those years of college? My own mother asked that. I'm her pride and joy. And I just said, well, you can't undoctorate me. You can't unlicense me. I have a phenomenal backup plan if I ever need. You still are who you are, but you don't have to live in that definition of what your first career is for yourself or for society. Do you get that? I see way too many people with a chip on their shoulder that either I'm too proud of what I do to ever become a network marketer, or I am only an oil mechanic. How could I ever be more? So there's two sides to that. But also give yourself permission for your heart to change its mind. I loved my career. I had years of personal, professional success in that industry before I became a mom. But I tell you what, you guys, nothing can change your heart like parenthood. And I wanted to be home with my little kids. So at 1 year to the day, this was so divine and so unplanned, from the day I drank my first shake, I came home to my Emerson and my Bryn. That was 3 years ago. I have never looked back for 1 minute. Thank you. And I called up my dad on that day, and I said, Dad, I left. I did it. I put in my 30-day notice that you told me to leave tomorrow. And I don't have enemies, mind you. This woman is something fierce. But he said, congratulations, princess. You're retired with a raise. And those are the people you keep in your life on this journey. Blinders up. Nobody else deserves to be in your path, but people that believe so fiercely in your ability, your health, and your dream to make this something more for your life. Your family deserves it, your spouses deserve it, your kids deserve it. Most importantly, your future deserves it. So I hope there's been just this massive stirring in your soul the last day and a half. These events will never grow old. Kudos to you for being here. It takes time away from kids, it takes money and resources, and you made it happen. And you all have team members here that are not here. You might even have leaders that aren't here, right? But you're here and you know how many people you're gonna bring with you to the next one. So before I bring David back to the stage, I would like our corporate staff in the room to stand up. Stand up and wave. Alfonso, don't be shy.